Bridgegate. Ever since the first reports of mystery traffic on the GW surfaced last September, the story has seen a New Jersey problem and a New Jersey scandal seemingly by the week. We got another tidbit here that's a headache for this guy. Political ramifications have hit this New Jersey governor, Mr. Christie, and it's hurt his quest for the White House, and it's cost him 5 key advisors and appointees throughout the investigation. But now, some of those same questions, they're being directed towards this guy. That's right, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Largely, he's escaped scrutiny in the case so far, and no one's alleging here that his responsibility is equal to that of the New Jersey governor, if in fact it even goes that far. But questions nonetheless are being raised for him, and they're being spelled out in a piece in Slate that came out today. In it, reporter notes, quote, investigators believe there are omissions in the carefully crafted timeline put forth by the Cuomo administration about what they knew about the lane closures and how they responded, adding that the New York governor's office was very involved in managing the crisis and forging a public narrative favorable to it. And we'll also note the governors, both Cuomo and Christie, coordinated on another Port Authority problem, inflating the estimate of the proposed toll hikes so the governors could reap the political benefits of later reducing those increases, looking like good guys. The bottom line, they wrote, is that both governors are responsible for everything that happens at the Port Authority. The moment a Port Authority cop put down a cone on the block access lanes in Fort Lee was the moment both Cuomo and Christie bore responsibility for what happened. End quote. I hear it, Andrew, but all things are not equal in this one. In fact, we know that there was a fight at the Port Authority where the New York equivalent was learning about stuff secondhand that his Jersey friends were doing across the river. So there was not simpatico between two offices from jump. Nonetheless, we always wondered, well, wait a minute. That phone call that Governor Christie made to Governor Cuomo, what exactly was the contents of that conversation? We still don't know the answer.
Yeah, we absolutely don't know the answer, and we don't know exactly what the timeline was for when Cuomo's office was involved in all of this. We know that he got the question at some point. One of the problems here for Cuomo is that reporters have been going back and forth asking the administration, well, what happened? And they're saying, talk to the Port Authority. Then you talk to the Port Authority, and they'll go back and saying, ask the governor. So there's the little bit of back and forth. Again, nobody thinks that any culpability is likely to be on the scale of what happened with Governor Christie. This clearly, at least appears to be, political retribution against Christie's enemies, and all of the traffic obviously is on the New Jersey side. But there are legitimate questions about what Governor Cuomo's office knew, what the governor knew, and he really hasn't been pressed about it, hasn't gone on the record about it, and he's not been in a lot of venues where he's had to face any questions about it.
Well, that's it, Dominic. He never was on the record on anything. But I guess my question is, in an election year, albeit one where he's supposed to coast to a huge margin, but in an election year, what could be the worst case scenario for Governor Cuomo?
I don't see this as a problem at all for this governor. I see this as almost as a waste of ink, to be honest with you, in terms of the article. Andrew is correct. The governor has not gone on record in detail with the media discussing this, but as you both just said, it happened. It didn't happen on the New York City side, where we would look more pointedly at the governor. It happened on the New Jersey side. It's not Cuomo's people that, the emails and the quotes and so on. It's Christie's people.
The only thing I'll press on is, Jeannie, that everything Dominic said is right. I agree with him and Andrew that this is not an equal thing. This is Christie's problem. However, that phone conversation, months before this became the public spectacle that it became, everybody acknowledges there was a phone call from Governor Christie to Governor Cuomo. What happened in that conversation? What did the governor know? And for how long and how many months has this been allowed to fester when Governor Cuomo could have very simply said, listen, Governor Christie told me this. He either knew or he didn't know from at least my context of the conversation. I understand why he's not volunteering the information. But until he answers that question, this is still going to be out there. What'd you know when you know it?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be out there amongst reporters and interested parties. Is it going to make a difference in this election, barring some kind of, smoking gun? Absolutely not. Nobody in New York cares. They care about taxes. They care about jobs. They care about employment. That said, I think it speaks to a larger issue that some people, particularly in the press, have with Governor Cuomo, was that he is not accessible in the least. No. I mean, love him or hate him, he is not accessible. So to get him on the record answering a question.
Can I tell you the worst part about this is, and I know you guys agree, We all said in the beginning, this isn't going to work for him. You can't do that as governor. You can't just decide
And
you're not going to talk.
it's worked.
It's worked very well.
I'm sorry, I know we're tight, but let's find out. Let's have some release of information from the governor's office
But
and find
how
out
do you
what he
get
knew.
that?
And keep in mind, there's been a bit of a détente, at least a truce between Christie and Cuomo. Neither one wants to hurt the other one. Neither one wants to cause headaches for the other one.
guys-
And Christie's the head of the RGA, could cause a lot of trouble in a re-election year for
But
Cuomo.
if Christie could dump half of his political problem in Cuomo's lap, you don't think he would?
Yeah.
If he could get away with it, he would.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next year, we turn to national politics and an interesting scene at the Kentucky Derby. And I'm not talking the crazy hats and the mint juleps. Rand Paul making his move there, where he was walking around with none other than Mr. Murdoch from Fox News. Could this guy really be a serious contender in 2016? We'll talk about that after this.